Most women chasing bigger, rounder glutes are accidentally growing their legs instead and have no idea it is happening. The workouts look right. But 3 months in the butt is roughly the same, and the thighs are noticeably bigger, which was not the goal, and is now a source of genuine frustration. This is not bad genetics, and it is not your body being uncooperative. It is a targeting problem, and it starts with understanding that your glutes and your legs are not the same muscle group, even though almost every popular glute exercise uses both of them at the same time. Your glutes are made up of 3 muscles. The gluteus maximus, which is the large muscle responsible for the size and shape most women are after. The gluteus medius, which sits on the upper outer side and creates the curved shape at the top, and the gluteus minimus, which sits underneath the medius and assists with hip stability. These 3 muscles have specific functions, and the exercises that grow them most effectively are not always the ones that feel the most intense or get the most views on fitness content. The exercises that feel the most intense are often the ones recruiting your quads and hamstrings heavily alongside your glutes, which grows everything rather than isolating the thing you actually want to develop. The reason this happens comes down to how your body distributes workload during compound movements. Your body is always looking for the path of least resistance, meaning it will naturally shift effort toward whichever muscles are strongest and most dominant in any given movement pattern. For most women, the quads are dominant. They are large, they are strong, and they take over during any exercise that involves bending and extending at the knee under load. Squats, lunges, leg press, step-ups. All of these movements involve significant knee flexion and extension, which means your quads are heavily involved whether you intend them to be or not. If you are quad dominant, which most women are simply due to how the body naturally develops, these exercises will develop your quads at least as much as your glutes and often more. Regardless of how deep you squat or how much you focus mentally on squeezing your glutes at the top, the solution is not to avoid compound movements entirely, but to understand which exercises load the glutes through hip extension rather than knee extension, because hip extension is the primary function of the gluteus maximus, and loading it through that movement pattern is what actually grows it. Hip thrusts and glute bridges are the clearest example of this. The movement is almost entirely driven by extending your hips. Your knees stay relatively fixed, and the quad involvement is minimal compared to a squat or lunge. This means the tension and the stimulus go primarily to the glutes, rather than being distributed across your entire lower body. Women who add heavy progressive hip thrusts to their training consistently and prioritize them over squat variations see glute development that simply does not happen from squatting alone, because they are finally loading the muscle through the movement it is actually designed to perform. Foot position and stance width make a larger difference than most people appreciate. A wider stance in any lower body exercise shifts more demand toward the inner thighs and glutes and away from the quads. A narrower stance does the opposite. Toes pointed slightly outward during hip-dominant movements increases glute activation because it aligns the femur in a position where the gluteus maximus can generate more force. These are small adjustments that change which muscles are doing the majority of the work without changing the exercise itself, and most women have never been told about them because most fitness content is not specific enough to be useful at this level. Glute isolation work matters more for leg-to-glute ratio than most training programs acknowledge. Exercises that move the leg away from the body laterally, like cable kickbacks and lateral band walks, directly target the gluteus medius and minimus with very little quad involvement. These muscles contribute significantly to the shape and fullness of the glute from the side and the upper outer area, which is the part most women want to develop when they talk about wanting a rounder butt. Building these muscles while keeping leg volume moderate is one of the most effective ways to change the visual ratio between your glutes and thighs, because you are adding size to the glutes specifically without adding proportional size to the surrounding leg muscles. Progressive overload is the piece of glute training that most women are missing entirely, and it is the most important piece. Your glutes will not grow beyond a certain point unless the stimulus you are giving them keeps increasing over time. Your body adapts to a given level of challenge relatively quickly, and once it has adapted, it stops responding. This means the band workout that felt difficult 3 months ago is no longer producing any meaningful development because your glutes are already capable of handling it comfortably. Growing your glutes requires progressively heavier hip thrusts, progressively more challenging glute-focused movements, and a training log that shows consistent increases in what you are able to do over months. The women with genuinely developed glutes are not doing the same workout at the same weight they were doing a year ago. They are significantly stronger in hip-dominant movements than they were when they started, and that strength increase is exactly what produced the size increase. Protein and recovery are not optional footnotes to this process. Your glutes are a muscle group, and they follow the same rules as every other muscle group. They need adequate protein to repair and grow after training, and they need sufficient recovery time between sessions to actually complete that process. Training your glutes every single day does not grow them faster. It prevents the recovery that growth depends on. 2 to 3 well-structured glute-focused sessions per week with genuine progressive overload and adequate protein between them will produce more development than 6 sessions of moderate band work ever will. The women with the glute development most women are chasing are not doing random circuit workouts. They are hip-thrusting heavy weight with progressive increases. They are eating enough protein to support muscle growth, and they have been doing it consistently for long enough that the results are visibly obvious. The thigh problem goes away not by avoiding lower body training, but by structuring it so that the glutes are the primary target, and the legs are along for the ride rather than the other way around. This week, swap 1 squat session for heavy hip thrusts. Track the weight. Add more next week. That single change will do more for your glutes in 30 days than the last 3 months of squatting.